Alright, what's going on, dudes, and welcome to the EnviroMine mod for Minecraft. This is a mod for anyone out there who feels the regular Minecraft survival simply isn't difficult enough. So usually, you gotta monitor your hunger bar in order to stay alive, keep yourself healthy. With this, you have an additional 5 attributes you have to monitor. 4 of those are represented by the bars over in the bottom left and bottom right hand corner of the screen. And on top of those, you also have block physics that you have to keep track of in order to avoid cave-ins, when you're building things, mining, so on and so forth. So we'll go in the order of the bars from top left to bottom right. So the first bar represents temperature. The second bar represents hydration, and those are on the left-hand side. Then the top right represents oxygen levels, and the bottom right represents sanity. So we'll start off with temperature. So as you'll notice right now, my body temperature and the temperature of the environment are lined up. If we go over here into desert, you'll notice that the 2 dots will move over to the right on the temperature bar. Ignore my swimming there, it just brought it down a little bit. But when we're in the desert, which we're in right now, it'll bring the environment temperature up a good bit, as you would expect, being in a desert. So that's represented by the 2 little dots on the bar at the top left of the bottom part of the screen. Pardon me for not being able to describe that really well, but hopefully you can see it over in the bottom left there, the rainbow bar. And as we run around here in the desert, you'll notice that the solid bar will start to creep up, and so will the number next to it. So right now our body temperature is 30.8. It keeps going up. 31, 30, 31.3. Keeps going up and up and up until it hits equilibrium on the 2 dot bar in the same slider. So at the same time, you'll notice that because we've been in the desert running around for a few minutes here, my hydration bar has now actually dropped below safe levels. So we're below 25%. Now it's blinking, telling us you gotta drink something, you're gonna die. It actually doesn't negatively impact you until it gets really, really low, like 1-2% or so, but it's still warning you like, hey, you should drink something in order to fix this problem. So that's why I'm carrying water bottles around. But let's exaggerate things a little bit more. So if you're in the desert and you want to make yourself really, really hot, what you can do is you can go ahead and put on some iron armor. Then you'll notice, if you check out the slider over in the bottom right, it increased the environment temperature all the way up to the top, as high as it can possibly go. And that means that our body temperature is going to start increasing even more rapidly, and it's going to cause our hydration meter to start going down even faster. And in the most extreme of cases, if we get really, really unbelievably hot, we can just spontaneously combust. So that's nice. Keep that in mind. You know, if you want to stay alive, you probably don't want to wear iron armor for extended periods of time in the desert, unless you got a pretty ample supply of water on your hands. So we'll go ahead and take it off. Our hydration meter is still going down, so in order to keep that from hurting us, again, if we hit like 1-2%, it'll start taking hearts away from us, and we can die from it. Again, because I'm in creative mode, it wouldn't actually happen, but if we switched on over into survival, it would. Now, all of the meters, they read regardless of whether or not you're in survival or creative. It's just that it won't actually kill you unless you're in survival mode. So let's fix our hydration. We'll go ahead and drink at long last, and each water bottle that we drink will replenish 25% of our meter. So if we want to bring it all the way up, we can drink 4 of them. However, you have to be careful where you fill up. So it just so happens right here, the water source seems to be pretty safe. So it reads water bottle. When we fill up our glass bottle in here, we can drink it again, refill. Still says water bottle. We can drink it again and bring our hydration up to pretty reasonable levels. But in some bodies of water, like the ocean or a really secluded small pond, for example, you'll actually get different types of water when you fill up. So this is dirty water, for example. And you don't want to drink that necessarily because it can have adverse effects on your health. But we'll do it just to be a guinea pig and see if anything happens. I guess we're safe this time around. It looks like nothing too bad. Nothing too bad. We're not going delirious. We're not getting extreme cases of unpleasant bowel movement. But that can result in certain cases. I believe it's just a random chance. So if you get to a place where when you fill up, it's only giving you salt water, only giving you dirty water, what you can do is you can take that and you can go ahead and put it in a furnace And I am going to actually need to get something in order to smelt our water bottles. That sounds very weird to say. But nonetheless, it is what it is. So I'll throw some coal in there, and then we can throw our dirty water bottle in to start. It'll start smelting it, for lack of a better word, or distilling it, I should say. That's what he says in the forum post. And then out of that, we get a clean water bottle that we can drink. So once again, salt water, we can throw that in as well. It'll start distilling it, and then we'll get a water bottle in turn. Now on top of that, I had another water bottle in here. It's called cold water. You can distill that as well, although it's not harmful to drink unless, say, you're in like a snow biome where it's really cold and you don't want to lower your body temperature any further. But here we go, another water bottle from the salt water. However, the cold water is actually useful in circumstances like when you're in a desert, for example. So over here, I have the crafting recipe for it. It is crafted. You combine a water bottle and a snowball in a workbench or in your head if you're in survival mode, and you get a cold water bottle. And when you're in the desert, for example, if your body temperature is getting really, really high, pay attention to the temperature bar. When I drink this, over in the bottom left-hand corner, it should lower our body temperature by a pretty good amount. And it'll, you know, keep us from overheating. And because I'm in creative, it didn't use it up there. We can keep lowering our body temperature to the extent where, you know, we can give ourselves hypothermia if we want to. But that's an option for you if you're in the desert and you're overheating and you want to bring your body temperature back down to a controllable level. And it'll also, again, hydrate you. Now, while we were just loosely on the subject of crafting recipes, speaking of cold water bottles, you can actually craft saddles as well. Totally unrelated to any of the stuff that we talked about, but I figure it's worth mentioning. That's the crafting recipe. It's sort of like pants with iron tips at the bottom, leather pants with iron tips at the bottom, and you can get yourself a saddle. I guess that sort of helps you so that maybe you don't necessarily have to go dungeon exploring down deep in mines and have to worry about your oxygen, your sanity, so on and so forth. But that's there just while we're at the workbench. Okay, so with hydration and body temperature out of the way, actually one more thing is that if you want to purify water, so say you take a water supply from a dirty area, you can throw it in a cauldron as well. It should distill it once more, and you can fetch it on out with your glass bottles, and it should be safe to drink. So yay, more water bottles, woo! Okay, so now we'll move on into physics before we actually head into the mines and worry about oxygen and sanity. So let's go ahead and get a piece of wood here by middle mouse clicking. And what we're going to do here is just add in a couple blocks on the edge here, and what do you know? One of them falls down. So you have physics that you have to sort of keep a mindful eye on when you're building here. So I think it'll allow you to build a maximum of 3 unsupported blocks out before it collapses. So I guess you can sustain 2, if you'll let me. Come on. doesn't want to let it stick. You shit. There we go. Okay. So once you've put the blocks down, they're good to go. We'll switch back into beginning of the day. Once the blocks are down, they're good to go unless you apply a block update. So that block's not going to just spontaneously decide to fall at some point. It'll stay there until, if we apply a block update, there's a chance it could take both of them down like that. So that's what you have to keep in mind when you're mining, is that if you start mining things and it leaves unsupported blocks and you keep applying block updates, there's a chance you can cause a cave-in. So we'll get to that when we go into the mines, but again, same sort of thing applies here. Now, if you want to build a structure, for example, you're going to have to keep some supports on the ground. So again, you can get away with 3 apart. You can't really get away with much more than that. I suppose you can get away with 4 apart, possibly. We can examine here really quickly. If I go 4 apart here, and nope, it might just take down the middle 2. It doesn't seem like it wants to happen because, again, I'm applying a block update there. So it seems like the most you can get away with is 3 blocks apart. 2 blocks seems to be the most reliable since it generally won't cave in while you're building it at all, whereas with 3, you might have blocks falling down that you have to clean up and then try replacing, so on and so forth. Anyway, there we go. That's a stable structure, and it should stay like that, regardless of many block updates. But again, if we start building out and we don't add supports, it can cause the blocks to fall down. So keep that in mind as we're going into the mine here, and we'll look into that a little bit more, and we'll also go into oxygen and sanity bars, which are over in the bottom right-hand corner, which we haven't looked into quite yet. So over here, we got a mine that I lit up so we can sort of walk on down to the bottom here, remember how we got out, so on and so forth. And a little bit more on the cave-in thing. So if you're like putting torches down, you even have to be careful there, because the world naturally generates in whatever way it does, regardless of the EnviroMine mod. But if you apply block updates to some areas, it'll actually cause cave-ins. So as you'll see here, I actually tried putting a torch down before, and it's causing some blocks to fall down. So we can just test this in some other locations, and eventually just try to get a cave-in to happen on purpose. They're pretty small for the most part, but they do happen. And if you had like a long mine shaft that was, there we go, that applied a block update, caused another block to fall down. It's usually at like overhang areas it'll happen more often. There we go, another block's falling down. So things to keep in mind when you're down mining underground. On top of, now we'll go a little bit farther down, encounter some more monsters here and there, and we'll try to lower our sanity and our oxygen supply. So right there, now you notice the oxygen supply bar is going down. We've gone down deep enough into the ground where the supply of clean air from up above is now getting a little bit lower, and so our oxygen supply is going to start going down. Now hopefully, maybe we can spawn a few additional zombies here and start reducing our sanity as well. Remember, it doesn't matter if we're in survival or creative, the bars will still read accurately. It's just a matter of having the side effects take place. So if we let our oxygen meter get all the way down to 0 or near there, we would actually start suffocating. So that's not good. And now, okay, we've got our sanity bar declining as well. So that results from being too close to lots of mobs and stuff. And the adverse effects that can result from that going down too low are things like vision impairment and, you know, just, I don't know if nausea happens, but vision impairment is one, and it can just cause unpleasant things. So in order to combat these, you're going to want to have a couple things. So in order to give yourself a fresh supply of oxygen when you're down at a low level, you'll want to carry a supply of leaves with you. So if we put... Speaking of cave-ins, you'll want to have a fresh supply of leaves on you. So if we start putting these down, you'll notice that our oxygen supply is now going to start going up. It was down at like 75%. Now it's going back over 80, 81, 82, 83, 84. And as long as you've got some leaves on you, you should be good to go. And it shouldn't hurt you too badly. Now we're getting closer to 100%. If we stand by the leaves, we'll be fine. Now on the other hand, with our sanity bar, it's not being hurt too badly, but I don't know. If we go over maybe down into the bottom of the ravine over here, it'll start going down on us a little bit more rapidly, and we'll have to pay closer attention to it. Again, we can put down a supply of leaves here in order to stay healthy, but in order to keep our sanity up, we'll need to put down some flowers. So let's find some dirt over here, and we will create a little flower bed to help us stay sane. So right now I'm gonna plant some flowers, and then as I do that, hey, what do you know, we're back up to 100% sanity. So make sure you bring flowers on a mining expedition, because they'll keep you really nice and healthy and happy, and flowers are just fine and dandy and great, and then you'll avoid all the adverse side effects there. Now on the same token, even though you're underground, doesn't mean you don't have to worry about the hydration and the body temperature. You always have to pay those in mind as well. But you just have to also worry about the, you know, your oxygen supply and your sanity, so on and so forth. So, you know, adding to that hyperrealism factor. Now we'll just go ahead and dig our way all the way back up to the top. And toggle downfall, because I don't like the rain. And finally, we'll cap everything off by going into the nether, where it just ruins everything for you, basically. In order to go into the nether, you're gonna want sort of everything you can have in order to combat the bars going down in the undesired direction. So bring some cold water with us. We'll keep our flowers. We'll keep our leaves. We might actually want some dirt as well. We don't really need some zombies to add to the fear here. And so we got a grass block. And with all that easily accessible, we can jump on into the nether and wait for it to generate. And then all of a sudden you'll notice that our body temperature is gonna climb like crazy. Our sanity is gonna start decreasing. Our oxygen supply is gonna start decreasing. Basically, it sucks. So go into the nether only when you really need to go into the nether, and make sure that you are very, very adequately prepared to face the consequences. So right now, we're gonna wanna drink some. We'll get our body temperature back down a little. Fortunately, body temperature isn't going up too bad. We're actually in a pretty nice, oh, nope, back up. Ooh, we can stand here. Our body temperature will stay fairly stable. But at the same time, oxygen supply. Put down some leaves. Oh man, you gotta stay with good oxygen. That's probably most important. And then we can just put down some flowers. Put down a torch. Boom, boom, and now we're good. Okay. Whew. So if you want to go into the nether, just stand here. Never move. Never move, and you'll be good to go. Actually, wait, no, I need to stand here because then my body temperature will be good, and then I can just drink periodically, and we'll be safe. All right. Well, that about sums it up for the EnviroMine mod. Once again, for anyone out there who doesn't think that standard vanilla survival is difficult enough, this adds in some extra elements you have to keep track of, and just makes for a more realistic, difficult playthrough, I suppose. All right. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed. If you have, a rating would be much appreciated. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.